At the end of the day, I'm here to help entrepreneurs design brands that guide them to seven-figure success. All right, so this is the first time that I'm doing this. This could be a complete train wreck, or this could be super awesome. So as of right now, guys, I'm using a platform called StreamYard, and I am streaming this conversation live on YouTube, 3 of my Facebook pages, and Twitter. And what I'm going to do is I am going to have this conversation also going on my live stream. So there are some live viewers that are watching this right now that will have access to hearing all of you guys. So I'm going to ask my live stream audience, can you hear Oais and Stefan if they give a quick little intro? So in the comments on the live stream, guys, let me know if you can hear Oais and Steven. So Oais, give a quick little introduction and make sure that it's like 15, 20 seconds at least. So that drag kicks in.
Okay. So here it goes. I'm Awais Qureshi with the Visual Cue, and I've been helping B2B companies in the past 10 years grow their business with performance-driven branding and online presence. We started out focusing just on the visual identity piece, and slowly moved towards really strategizing and really defining the brand for many of our clients, and how they were uniquely positioned in the marketplace, and making it as customer focused as possible. And that's what we've been doing for the past couple of years, and it's been a great success.
Awesome. So Ian Tiska says on the live stream that he can hear you loud and clear, Oais. So this is really cool. I'm introducing my live stream audience to my Clubhouse audience and vice versa. So awesome stuff. This is working out fantastic. I'm trying to kill some birds, a couple birds with two stones. You know how to say it, right? Kill two birds with one stone. Stefan, quick little background on you.
Okay. So yeah, my name is Stephen Anthony. I'm a brand strategist, designer, and illustrator in the hospitality industry, mainly serving full-service restaurants. I've also helped the rapper 2 Chainz open up 2 restaurants in Atlanta, and also his nail salon that he bought for his wife. So just mainly creating brand identity packages to increase foot traffic, using design to increase trust. So yeah, that's a little bit about what I do.
Love it. So Nikki, I'm trying something different today. You probably got notified because she's in my Facebook group, and I think you follow me on YouTube, but I am actually live streaming this at the same time.
Yay.
So I'm like trying to kill 2 birds with one stone here today and try to bring in my live stream audience to Clubhouse and vice versa. So this is cool stuff. And it seems to be everybody could hear each other fantastically. So this is working out. So Nikki, quick little background on you, quick little intro, and then we'll get into the topic of conversation today.
Okay. Yeah. So I normally do live stream on Instagram and Clubhouse at the same time. So it does work.
Oh, great.
With that being said, hello. Welcome. This is Nikki Nicole, comes to you live from New York City. Super excited to be here. I am a business and success strategist, as well as a digital and social media marketing consultant. I teach and train small to medium-sized business owners on how to grow their exposure, build their list of leads, grow their audience, as well as monetize the social media platform. So I do have in-live workshops. I have online courses, ebooks, etc. Or you could just book me to ask me questions to create a strategy as to how you can get your brand out utilizing social media. Been in sales since 2008 when the recession hit. Done direct sales, trust and believe. Your girl knows how to sell. I know how to overcome objections very well. And all I do is take those same skill sets I learned in a decade of in the field, face-to-face sales, and just help people use that on a social media platform. I'm on Clubhouse a lot. I'm on Instagram a lot. You can find me on the Diva Speak. Outside of that, you can check me out and follow me. I host rooms a lot.
I see you grinding, Nikki. I love it. I love it. I love it. So today I'm talking about, I want to bring up the conversation of how to build your credibility quickly online. I put a Instagram post out yesterday asking this question, and I formed it as a question, and I got quite a bit of response from it. And I said, you know what? Validates the topic. Let's go and talk about this on Clubhouse tomorrow. So what I realized over the past, I would say 4 months, 3.5 months being on Clubhouse is there's a lot of folks that want to sell a premium product or service, but they're putting the cart before the horse a little bit, and they haven't really established the proper credibility to get people to trust them enough. So I wanted to put together a piece of content that will help you build your credibility quickly, because the argument on Instagram yesterday was, can credibility be built quickly, or is it something that takes time? So very interested to open up that question to all of you. But before we get into that, I would love to just go around popcorn style and ask you guys, how have you built your credibility online doing what you guys do?
I guess I can share. When I first got involved with really using social media for my business, I started with Facebook and then I went to Instagram. So with Facebook, I just went inside Facebook groups where my ideal clients were at. And I just participated in the conversations, just answering questions, making posts, things like that, constantly showing up so people can just see me. And eventually people started sending friend requests, going to my DMs, asking me questions, saying, oh, I saw this post that you wrote about X, Y, and Z. I have some questions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The science behind using Facebook groups to kind of network is, even don't worry too much about giving out information for free and you feel like people gonna freeload you. Don't think about that. And even if the person you respond to don't answer, it's okay, because there are tons of people in Facebook groups that do not comment, but they're like me. We'll stalk and chicka-hawk the comments, the posts. We'll read all the comments. Like if there was a high drama beef on social media, you may not engage in it, but you read all 250 of those comments to see what's going on. So people do the same thing. They'll read the comments, and if you give something valuable that's important that they can benefit from, they'll hit you up directly, or they'll just go straight to your website and purchase. I was very open about my business. I shared the behind the scenes on my social media pages. I posted a lot of videos, especially when I went to events. When I was in direct sales, I used to post the videos of us having fun and being silly. So I shared my life in business with my social media audience. Same thing when I moved to Instagram. I went to my competitors' pages. I was a little bit more savvy. Went to my competitors' pages and I read the comments, and I saw a lot of people had questions and nobody answered them. So I slid in a DM and say, hey, with the screenshot of their comments, say, hey, I saw you had a question about X, Y, and Z. Did anybody help you? Obviously, they say no, because what people fail to follow up. And my follow-up skills is nasty. I'm a beast in these streets when it comes to following up. So I said, oh, I'm sorry about that. Let me help you. What's your question? Answered it, got their contact information, took them off social media and followed up with them over the phone. Bada bing, bada boom. They either became a recruit or a customer by the time I was done. So showing up, reaching out to people, and searching for opportunities to connect is a good key point to getting building your credibility using social media. And that's my take on that.
Nikki, I love that. I love that. Who else wants to go?
So for me, I think there's two main ways that stick out to me as far as building credibility. and influence. I think one, as Nikki said, you could be assertive and you could practice, but another one I believe is just by association. And that could, not to say that that doesn't take time to develop those associations, but I do believe that that's just another way to do it. So, like for me, for instance, I didn't have to do a lot of marketing, a lot of outbound reach for a long time, especially on social media, due to the fact of the association that I was with. So when I was working with a celebrity client opening up his restaurant, that group of people it was very tight knit, especially within that demographic. And I just did not have to do any marketing. So when a new restaurant would open up, my name would come up, and I would just get phone calls that way. So I think a lot of it is also the people that you surround yourself with, in regards to having some kind of influence. Because after a while, I heard you're the guy that helps brand restaurants, and it's like, oh, well, a matter of fact, I am. So
I love it.
so that was that. So I think that's just another way to skin a cat. But I mean, aside from just practice and getting your reps in and asserting yourself, the people, the company you keep, for sure.
Always, you had something to say.
Yeah, I think it's just again, continued repetitions and showcasing your proof, right? Whatever you've been working on, getting that out there, getting that published, and then in addition to that, anytime that you're advancing your own knowledge, you extrapolate from much of that information and see how you can integrate that into your own writing, into your own subject matter expertise, and some of the experience that you've been coming across, and really just communicating that on whether it be on Instagram, whether it be on LinkedIn, whatever platforms you're on. Again, just either in form of answering questions, just like Nikki was saying, just going. I think that's a great strategy, Nikki, that you're going or you went to your competitors' pages and took a look at their comments and try to see what wasn't getting addressed, what high level or high frequency type of questions weren't necessarily getting addressed, and you were either turning that into your own unique content, or you were reaching out to them directly and see how those people were actually getting converted into some paid clients. So no, I mean, great strategy there, but yeah, again, kind of that same sort of an approach where you either look at what's what sort of comments are showing up in on different platforms, and seeing if those comments can be turned into some sort of topics that you can speak on, or maybe again, it applies to something that you've been working on, and if you're continuing to see that show up over and over and over again, well, then it's definitely worth talking about.
I love it. Go ahead, Claudia. Claudia.
Hello, everyone. I love these tips. And Nikki, that's such a powerful way to be replying to people's questions directly. I wanted to echo also just leveraging the network that we already have. When I first jumped out of a company, I didn't really speak about the fact that I jumped out. And when I did start saying that I left the company, I had a lot of ex-managers or directors come to me and say, hey, Claudia, if you ever need a testimonial of your work that you have done in the company, I'd love to do that. That's something you can leverage on. And I think that's a really powerful way of leveraging on testimonials for work that you have already done, even if it wasn't done in that specific business, if it's a similar thing that you're doing. Two would be to just share your information online. And I echo so much of what Nikki was saying there as well. Don't be afraid of putting information out there. I truly believe that the more we put out there, the more it will come back around to us, because what happens is that we create that word of mouth. And even if that person who read that piece of information might not be the customer, chances are that the next time they come across a friend or a colleague who has an issue and needs a further deep dive into that, they will think of you to come back to and recommend for that job. So just wanted to share that with you.
Ian, did you want to contribute?
Yeah, I would just add recognizing that your content. I was taking a course last night, and they actually pointed something out that I hadn't really thought of. Deciding that your content is either an entrepreneur or an influencer, and creating your content as such. Influencers do as they feel; they kind of do it retroactively. Entrepreneurs are putting out content that is for their audience, and I think that's kind of been echoed throughout this whole room. Is speaking to your audience, not speaking out like you're in an open forum. So I just wanted to put that out there, and I thank you.
Yeah, that's important too, that you have your audience dialed in so you're putting out the right content, right? I remember I made a massive mistake years ago when I first started getting involved in live streaming and getting on video more often. Was I was going very personal development in topic, and it was confusing the hell out of my audience, because my audience was like, why do you keep talking about this? Like, what are you, like some sort of like motivational speaker now? Are you not doing design? Are you not doing branding? Like, what's going on? And they would go to my wife, like friends and family would go to my wife and be like, yeah, we saw Henry on Facebook the other day, and he was talking all this Tony Robbins stuff, and like, what's going on over there? And it was so off brand, but I felt like at the time it was something that I needed to get off my chest. And indirectly, it actually built a lot of credibility, and it built a lot of trust with my audience, because people like saw me struggling. They saw me really talking about some sensitive stuff that at the time I was confident enough to speak out about, and it actually was beneficial. Now everybody has layers and tiers of how comfortable they are with sharing those personal things. But as I matured as an entrepreneur, I realized that your story is your story, and it's extremely important when it comes to building your brand and making people understand why and all of that. But once it's out there and there's a place for people to find it, you got to hang that vertical on the shelf and get into your expertise and really showcase like what you're awesome at and go all in on that. So a couple of things that I want the audience to kind of pay attention to before we get into the tactical stuff is, and Stefan, you kind of mentioned this when you were speaking about really identifying what your zone of genius is, or your area of expertise is, and what do you want to be known for. So do you want to be the go-to for high-end salon design? And there was a part in my career, there was a time in my career where all these high-end salons in New Jersey were coming to me saying, I love the way you branded Moxie, can you help us with our branding? And and that started to become like a little vertical that I love to do and I love to work in. And so I worked in that space for quite a while, and then I kind of graduated from there, went into, like, used to fund high-end, not high-end restaurants, but franchise restaurant branding, which was fun. And then I sort of morphed into the personal branding space and started doing more of that stuff. But then once funnels really came to market, and officially, I guess is the word, I dove deep into funnel strategy, funnel design, funnel architecture, and things like that. And then people started to really see me as the funnel guy with this really cool branding background. And that's where my superpower kind of became what it is today. So now it's like, oh, you need a funnel done? You got to talk to Henry, because he could do both. He could brand you and build out that money machine for you online, called a funnel, AKA funnel, that could help you scale. So understanding your zone of expertise is very, very important. And then how are you showcasing that? How are you showcasing that? I heard Billie Jean say the other day, boring will put you out of business. Boring will put you out of business. And I thought about that, and I did an audit of my content, and I was looking back, and I was saying to myself, oh my God, some of this stuff is snoozeville that I was putting out. how do I even have followers left? And so I started getting creative with Instagram Reels and live streams and doing things like this, where we're streaming live on Clubhouse and we're getting other people involved in this. So it's not just me bobbling my head on a screen and having people watch it and say, well, that was okay, but it's like, oh my God, it was boring as hell. So coming up with creative ways to demonstrate or showcase your expertise is huge. So I have a list here real quick that I'll run through, and then we could talk about some case studies. And then what I would also like to do is invite anybody down in the audience that has a question regarding challenges when it comes to building credibility online, and see how we can help you get through those. But some of the things that I listed here that I wanted to share with you today in regards to building your credibility quickly online is obviously the live stream route, which I'm doing right now. Virtual workshops are huge. Nikki, I think you mentioned that you do that as well, right?
Yes, I do the workshops as well as like video series.
Awesome. Yeah, those build up a tremendous amount of credibility. And then one of the things that I've seen working really well lately are these cohort trainings, where it's kind of like a course, but you're involved more in the course process, where it's not just somebody that buys a course and now they're 100% responsible of completing the course. And we all know, as marketers, when people buy courses, the percentage of people that actually finish the course are very, very low. But these cohort trainings, where you're involved in the training course a little bit more, seems to have a way larger graduation rate. And that could be a fantastic way for you to build credibility in front of a live audience that could go on to help you generate tremendous revenues later on. Collaborations are huge. Stefan, you mentioned this before, collaborating. My stock, I will say this out loud, I don't care, but my stock went through the roof when I started working with Russell Brunson. And then he helped me out, I helped him out, and then we became clients of each other for 2.5, 3 years. Like, that was a huge credibility uptick for me. And it has been recognized for years. Testimonial social proof, very, very common, but very, very important. People want to see other people that you worked with and say, you know what, that seems to be my problem too. And look, they help them, so I'm pretty sure they can help me. So social proof testimony, consistency and consistent execution. Two very, very important things that will build credibility exponentially. And that's sort of the long play, but consistent execution is huge. You know who wrote that? The person that gave me that answer was Cindy Eckert. I don't know if you know who Cindy Eckert is. She's an Instagram buddy of mine. Her and I and Fabio Viviani did a Clubhouse room a couple weeks ago, and she sold her business for $1 billion and then bought it back for pennies on the dollar, and is going on to do some amazing things. And that was one of her comments when I asked this question. She said, consistent execution will help you build tremendous credibility, because people want to see how much of a real deal you really are. And if you keep showing up, that's going to prove and show people that you are the real deal. Integrity, honesty, specializing. We mentioned that before. Transparency. Nikki said that before. What about achievements? Achievements that you've created. I'm working with a client right now who's got Emmys. Literally, he can line his office 2 times with Emmy awards for the work that he's done. And I don't know if it's shy. I don't know if it's he doesn't want to brag or whatever it is. But I said, dude, you need to start using that to your advantage because people like to brag. I'm not going to lie. People like to brag. If somebody says, I just hired this company and they got 17 Emmy Awards for their work, people like to do that stuff. So don't discredit it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying if you got the goods, you might as well show them off. And then, lastly but not least is really being a practitioner. Really being a practitioner. One thing that really grinds my gears is when people are trying to give me advice and then I do a little research on them and they're not doing it themselves and they're basically in the same space. Well, then what are you telling me to do that for? I don't know. I always raise an eyebrow to that. Like, or they're doing it for like a hot second and then they like stop doing it. And then you ask them like, why are you not doing that anymore? And they're like, well, and they give you a line of excuses. It's like, my trust goes down the toilet. So be a practitioner of what you preach, and you're going to build a tremendous amount of credibility. So I want to invite anybody that is here to raise their hand, come up and join the conversation about how to build your credibility quickly online. What's working for you? What's not working for you? What's the biggest challenge that you have when it comes to building credibility for your business? So anybody that wants to come on up, feel free to raise your hand and we'll bring you up. So is there anything that I missed, guys? Is there anything you want to highlight?
Yeah, I have. I would like to know your thoughts and everybody's thoughts in terms of the Dunning-Kruger effect. In terms of just people, it's odd. It's just that people who have a little bit less experience actually feel more qualified than what they really are qualified to do. And the most qualified people, most of the time, in terms of credibility, don't. So it's just a weird paradox that you were speaking about. It just kind of triggered in my brain when you were speaking about your client with the Emmys and him being shy, perhaps. So I don't know. I just feel like with that, I mean, do you think he needs to experience a level of detachment from the work, like us being creatives and putting, our heart and soul into the work in order to get that feedback? I mean, I would just like to know your thoughts on that, just at large in general. I know it's kind of a loaded question, but
what's the exact question? Should he?
I mean, do you feel like do you feel like a lot of people who are least credible to do the job just oftentimes feel like they are more fit to do the job, and it works the other way around for the most qualified people, right? So with that, do you feel like we need to experience a level of detachment from our art or from our craft in order to gain the credibility, and also get feedback from the audience and your customer base and things like that in order to just build on top of that credibility and that compound effect? Do you think we need to detach from our work? That's the main question. Do you feel like we need to detach from our work in order to get the result?
Okay, does anybody want to chime in? What are your thoughts? Always. What are your thoughts?
So I'm not sure if detaching from the work would necessarily, because again, when you're attached to the work, you also have a sense of purpose that goes along with that, right? And then when you talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect, I wouldn't say every single person that has limited knowledge seems to exude credibility, or seems to exude massive confidence. But then yes, there are a few out there that in a less or a more novice sort of a stage in their professional life will exude a significant amount of confidence and be able to gain a following that is far more than someone that's out there that's an expert and perhaps has more of a humble approach to expressing their subject matter expertise. So, I'm not sure about the detachment part, Stephen, but what I would say is, I'm reminded of a quote by Grant Cardone, and the quote is, "The best known is better than the known best," and that always gets me. That's something that I always have to kind of go back and reflect upon, because yes, we might be putting out great work out there, but if we're not necessarily speaking about it, if we're not again saturating the market with our own message and our own level of expertise, well, guess what? It might very well be those guys that are out there that are more in a novice stage in their life, but they have that sort of a consistent execution, like Henry said earlier, that sort of consistent execution in getting their names out, in constantly just saturating the market with their names. They might be novices, they might not even have a process in place, they might not have a system in place. However, they're winning more business just because they're more well known.
True indeed.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there, Stefan, that are less qualified, but they're getting a tremendous amount of business because the awareness, right? The awareness, and it is what it is. They're the more qualified maybe are just getting out marketed, and I hate to see that. I was just talking to a client right before this call, and she paid over, well, it was close to 10,000 because she's up in Canada, and but she paid like 10 G's, and this person was in like her circle of influence or network, right? And I'm trying to keep this as safe as possible without dropping names. And the person did absolutely nothing for her, but took her money, and she got left high and dry. But she was promised that they were going to increase her revenues by 400%. I don't know about you guys, but if somebody were to promise me that, my bullshit meter would go through the goddamn roof.
Yeah.
And I just felt so bad for her, because she's like, man, I wish I would have met you before her, before this other person, because now I'm going to be 20K into this project instead of, and I just said, I know. And it makes it harder for us, right? The ones that follow on our word, follow up on our word, and are true to our word, and want to see, the best for our clients. And it just sucks to see that. So the other thing I want to point out is, and I struggled with this for years, is you are not your work. You are not your work. So I'll give you an example. There were years that I had some trying moments in my business, and the business wasn't doing well. And I immediately equated that to me as a failure, as a person, as a husband, as a son, as a family member. And I would get stuck in these ruts of maybe they're depression, I don't know, but I'll call them funks, where I couldn't get myself out of it because I thought that my self-worth was clearly determined by how well my business was doing. And that's not true. That's not true at all. So it took me some time. It took me some practice. It took me some therapy to detach from that, and for me to really download the point that, you know, I am not my work. If my business is struggling, that doesn't make me a poor father. That doesn't make me a poor husband. It just means your business is struggling and you need more help there. So who can help you find those troubling moments or those points and get those fixed? So if you, it's like you cut your finger, what are you going to kill yourself because you cut your finger? No, you just have to fix the finger. Maybe that was a horrible example, but it's what came to mind. It's what came to mind. So it's to that point. It's to that point. But yeah, building your credibility, does it come quickly? Can you do it quickly, or is it something that needs to take time? Thoughts?
I think real credibility takes time, for sure.
What's the difference between real and not real?
Just kind of like the example that you made earlier in regards to you were working with a client that kind of got burned the last time. Whatever the sales pitch, she got kicked or referred to by somebody else. It sounded great at the time. And now she's going to tell all her friends what a bad experience they had with this person, including you. So, I mean, I think fake people could only pretend but for so long, to be honest. And then that's just what I mean with real credibility. Like, okay, you got a track record. No, you can't please everybody, but at the same time, I mean, just having skin in the game and doing things for a while, you're gonna, people are gonna know whether or not you're credible or not.
Clubhouse has exposed a lot of people.
Oh man, I haven't met so many six-figure entrepreneur coaches in my life. This is insane. I'm like, looking kind of dusty, but anyway. But who am I to judge? But yeah, Clubhouse is something else.
Yeah. And how do you break through that noise?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a good question.
I think we talked about it a little bit, but go ahead. What are you guys thinking?
I would say for me, it's just staying in my lane, right? Knowing what I know and not trying to sit here and postulate about what I think. That's kind of a rule of life that I go by now. It's just speak what you know, not what you think. People don't care about my opinion. People don't care about, what I think about this. If they ask me, of course I'll give it. But like in a general conversation, no, they want to know what I know, not what I think. So that's what I would say, just kind of sticking to your lane, especially for me in the mental health space. Like, just speaking from my own personal experience, not trying to put up this front. Like, I understand all these different things. There's things I don't understand. There's things I'm still learning. But I would just add that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Staying in your lane and knowing who you are and knowing who you're not is key. I think self-awareness has helped me tremendously over the years of keeping me in business, keeping me credible, keeping me alive physically. Self-awareness is huge. And it's crazy that it's crazy to see that is not so common. Like you think like everybody has a level of self-awareness. Some don't. And that comes back to bite them. I'll give you another funny example. We were in a Clubhouse room the other day. To your point, Stefan, I was cracking up when you mentioned that, saying that they looked a little dusty. So this person is in this room, and somebody's talking about funnels or whatever, and she's contradicting what this guy is saying about how funnels operate, right? And then she said in her rebuttal, she goes, "Well, my business is doing 50 million with this funnel strategy."
Oh man. Oh man.
And I couldn't believe that number was even thrown out there publicly like that. Because when I went to her Instagram account, I don't, again, who am I to judge? But it did not look like somebody that was generating a $50 million revenue with their business. Now, there are some people on here. There's a guy, I forget his last name. He owns a big construction company over here in upstate New York. And this guy's worth a couple $100 million, right? His Instagram looks very different than hers. And I'll say him sitting having lunch with Tom Brady, him sitting coming out of his private jet multiple times, him at all of these very exclusive events. And what I love about this particular guy is he seems like a real normal guy. He just has a lot of opportunity and he has a lot of luxury, right? But when he says that, you know, we're generating a couple 100 million, it's a lot easier for me to believe that. And I just couldn't believe that number was thrown out. And I immediately left the room because I was like, I don't want to be in this room with people that are throwing numbers like this, which my gut tells me it's full of shit. And I just laughed. I just laughed. I can't be around that. I don't want to be associated with that. I'm out. Mildred, how are you?
Hi, Henry. I'm doing good, thank you. I'm doing good. Interesting conversation you're having here today. So I raised my hand because I've been checking out your profile on LinkedIn and a few other places as well, YouTube, etc. Based on this conversation. And I'd love to hear your thought, actually, based on what you're saying about this lady and the 50 million, and then you're going onto Instagram and it looks like nothing's happening there. What is the link in your mind between credibility and number of followers? So are the two always intertwined in terms of if you have massive credibility, then it just goes without saying that you're going to have loads of followers on whatever your choice platform is? Or is it something that, do you think it's possible for somebody to have credibility and have small following on social media?
That's a great point, Mildred. And to answer that, I don't think follower count, me personally now, I don't think follower count is a good read of someone's credibility. Unfortunately, that is not how the world runs. I'll give you a quick example. I'll give you a quick example. I was out to dinner not too long ago for a birthday, and we were sitting down. I was sitting next to this guy, and he's like, "So what do you do?" And I was telling him, and he said, "Are you on Instagram?" I said, "Yeah." So he went to my Instagram, and he was like, "Oh, you got 152,000 followers?" And then the girl across the one of my best friends across the table goes, "Oh yeah, don't sleep on Henry. Like don't sleep on him." And automatically, like, my stock rose because I had 152,000 followers. To me, that was very interesting to experience because I could be horrible at what I do, but 152,000 followers. Oh, he must be somebody, because why would anybody else? Why would he have so many followers? So that was one example. The other example is, how about the people that come here that have, when I say here, I'm sorry, Clubhouse, that have a couple hundred followers, but when you read their bios, they're like the ex-creative VP of Coca-Cola. I remember when James Somerville came on Clubhouse. He had like a couple hundred followers. But this man has changed the game for Coca-Cola for like 20 years. And so I personally will not judge or gauge credibility by someone's following numbers. I'm gauging their credibility on the quality of their content, meaning, is this really helping me? Do they actually know? Does it sound like they know what they're talking about? And how they treat other people, how they treat their team, how they treat, you could see people, at conferences. One thing that really that grinded my gears is when I would see these people all smiley and happy and nice on social media. And then when you met them at a conference, they like wouldn't even bother with you. Like, and they were very rude and like, very like, I can't be bothered with you. Like that to me is, you killed it for me. You killed it for me. So Mildred, I hope that, who else wants to talk about this?
I wanted to share, like, because you start building credibility and influence with your family and your circle of friends. They don't look at your social media to see if they believe you, because they're interacting with you, you helping them, they found value in it, or they tried to tip, or the fact that you just listen to them, whatever it is, you create a safe space. Doesn't matter. But that right there helps you build your credibility, your personality, your character, your integrity. In regards to business and using online, this is why I stress live streaming. This is why I stress shooting videos. This is why I stress, creating, I would say live stream. And the reason why I say live stream, because you get to deal with the person in real life time. You can see if they full of sugar honey IC. You can see if they fumbling on particular questions when they position themselves as an expert and you ask a good, deep, meaty question and they're fumbling and not even willing to have integrity, say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that. Let me get back to you. Or they're trying to, BS you. You get to see them in real time, going to live events. Again, those same type of content, you get to be in their faces in real time. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about the follow account because people buy followers. I always stress also getting testimonials. How many people you have helped can brag about your services, brag about your products, brag about you, how awesome, amazing you are. There was user generated content or people reposting your stuff or tagging you. So if you have a product or service or whatever it is that you're using, get 10 people to write a review about you. Those reviews build your testimonials, build your credibility, because it's not just you bragging about yourself or showboating or boasting or promoting. You have other people backing you up. So really, it's how good is your content? Can you execute what you say you can? And do you have receipts? Do you have people that can vouch for you, testimonial stories and whatnot? So I'm Nikki and I'm signing off.
Well said. Well said. I brought Fergus up because he wanted to chime into the conversation. Fergus, how are you, my man?
Thanks for bringing me up, Henry.
Absolutely.
I haven't really got any questions on branding. I just find your rooms quite interesting and obviously taking some notes as we go.
How so, Fergus? I'm just curious.
Why do I find them interesting?
Yeah. Because I've seen you pop in here and there on dozens of occasions, but you don't participate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a lot to participate with, really. I mean, obviously, I use branding in my own business and with alignment and things like that within getting your website and social all to line up so that you can show off your credibility. But I just like to sit and listen to everybody else's thoughts, really.
Yeah. So what's interesting about these rooms? I'm just trying to get feedback.
What's interesting about the rooms in general is just how different people's perspective, as in like what the lady said earlier about followers and
like
that.
You said your rooms are interesting to listen to. Why
do I find them interesting to listen to?
Yeah,
because sometimes you have great like sort of conversations. You have a different quite a range of different characters from different industries that come up, like today that you've got people from the hospitality space to talk about branding and how to use it.
Very cool. Yeah. I've always struggled. I just want to preface this. I've always struggled with asking people for deeper insights about me. Like and I always felt like, oh my God, this feels so icky. It feels like I'm fishing for compliments. It feels like I'm like trying to, just fill in the blank. Like it doesn't feel good at all because I'm so worried about what everybody else is thinking. oh my God, look at Henry trying to fish for compliments, right? But when I really said, you know what, F that, if I don't ask these questions, I'm never going to understand why people like me, trust me, hire me, interested in me. And that information, I'll go to my deathbed not knowing that, where if I did know that information, man, I could make more of an impact with that feedback. And so I want to encourage everybody to ask their audience, like, what makes me credible? What makes me interesting? Why do you follow me? There's thousands, millions of people you can follow, but you follow me. Why? I just want to encourage people to ask that question more often without worrying about people judging you like you're fishing for compliments. Really passionate about that. Because that's the juice. That's the secrets. Really, I know Nikki loves that word. But those are the secrets that can unlock your messaging for your brand. And if you use that language that they shared with you, I wouldn't change it. I would use it verbatim, because that's the language of your audience. And that's going to build a lot of subconscious connection when you're interacting with them online. And that's a great way to build credibility, because they're going to feel like you're one of them or they're one of you, which is powerful. So for those folks that are just joining, we're talking about how to build your credibility quickly online. And we're live streaming this as well on multiple different channels on social media like YouTube and Facebook. And if there's anybody here that wants to come up and join the conversation, this is an open forum. Just raise your hand. We'll bring you up. And if you're having challenges when it comes to building your credibility, we're here to help you sort of unpack some of that and see where we can help you get through that. So feel free to raise your hand and come join us. So try to keep these rooms safe. You know, we've had some people in the past that try to self-promote, and I don't tolerate that here. So, you know, this is a safe space to share struggles and challenges and get help, because, man, I wish I had a Clubhouse that I could go to when I was starting my business or when I was stuck, you know, and I still use Clubhouse to this day, as a listening tool. I was in a pitch room this morning and I was listening to how people pitch their businesses, and I was listening to the language that they use. And I'm not an investor, so I don't know the lingo of investment pitching and things like that, but I was more up there as a branding guide to help people dial in their message and their mission and their message and purpose and stuff, right? But I didn't say a word for 40 minutes because I said, you know what? There's a lot of knowledge here. There's some heavy hitters in this room. There's a lot of people here that know nothing about branding. I just want to listen. And I took dozens of notes on different things people said that I just didn't feel comfortable chiming in because, again, this was a little over my head. But I took notes on different things, and I said, this is a great topic to talk about in one of my rooms. It serves me really well. So, you know, Clubhouse is a great tool to just listen in and see where people are struggling. And if your brand can help them get through that issue, well, then what's stopping you from starting your own room and talking about these types of topics to help these folks? I think it'll be tremendously helpful to them. So any parting words? Because we're live streaming, I wanted to wrap this up, and I just noticed my phone's on like 12%. So I usually go till 1 p.m. Eastern. We kind of keep the rooms at 90 minutes, but I'm going to wrap this one up early today. Any parting words? from the panel on building your credibility online and what people could be doing better to make that happen?
I'll add in quickly, just stay true and consistent in your messaging. And that's what I would add.
Bam. Consistency is king.
Know your audience, know your customers, and just like you said earlier, speak in their language.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining. We do these rooms every Tuesday and Thursday, 11:30 Eastern. So we will be back here on Thursday, 11:30 Eastern. I don't know what the topic of conversation is yet, but it will be around digital marketing, branding, high ticket sales, building your brand purpose message, digital marketing. Nikki's a pro at digital marketing. So that's it, guys. So thanks for joining me today. Hope you got some value out of this. And if there's anything else I can help you with, you could just shoot me a quick little DM on Instagram. And we could take the conversation deeper if you like. So have an amazing day, guys. And I'll catch you on the next one real soon. Take care.
Later.
Later.